12. Breaking through fixed thinking, how to correctly make mistakes. Welcome to Self-Development Psychology. In the previous class, we discussed the core differences between growth mindset and fixed mindset. Let me refresh your memory. Growth mindset believes that one's abilities can constantly grow, therefore, the focus is on effort to improve one's abilities. On the other hand, fixed mindset believes that one's abilities are fixed and unchangeable, therefore, the focus is on proving oneself as intelligent and maintaining that image. After listening to the previous class, you may have a question: how can we transform from fixed mindset to growth mindset? Today, we will discuss how to overcome fixed mindset. Changing the perception of mistakes. First, I would like you to think about how one's abilities grow. Imagine if you work in a familiar environment and do the same job every day, even though the work is hard, will your abilities grow? Probably not. Ability growth comes from challenges. If you are presented with a problem that is beyond your current abilities, you must work hard to solve it. If you answer incorrectly, the environment will provide feedback in some way. In the end, you will have a deeper understanding of the problem and your abilities will improve through the process of answering the question. This is the process of ability growth. From this perspective, smart or not smart and strong ability or weak ability should not describe isolated individuals, but rather the interaction between individuals and the environment that promotes ability growth. However, fixed mindset, because it wants to maintain the image of being smart, is unwilling to face challenges and thus loses the opportunity to truly become smarter. Adaptation is a powerful learning mechanism. The process of facing difficulties and challenges is actually the process of our brain learning to adapt to the environment. These difficulties and challenges make our brain more flexible and refined, but those with fixed mindset lose this opportunity by avoiding challenges. Since fixed mindset hinders our growth, how can we overcome it? I believe the core is to change our perception of mistakes. Our culture always teaches us to avoid making mistakes. Starting from kindergarten, much of our education teaches us how to identify and prevent mistakes. I have heard a saying that 90% of what parents say to their children is, "Don't do this." At first, I thought this was an exaggeration, but after spending a day observing and analyzing my conversations with my children, I found that it was true, and perhaps even more than 90%. Our education is like this, so we have a lot of negative evaluations of mistakes. It is difficult for us to see mistakes as feedback and a rare learning opportunity, and it is easy for us to see mistakes as failures. In fact, when we are solving problems presented by the environment, we make many mistakes. Trial and error is a basic learning mechanism. This has nothing to do with your ability, but rather the process of things developing. However, some people instinctively think, "I made a mistake, so I must not be smart enough and didn't do things right." They equate mistakes with failure. When you see mistakes as failures, you actually agree with the assumption that the development of things is not a straight line, but rather has a final point, success or failure. And mistakes are that final point. This is clearly not the true logic of things. Mistakes and failures are different. Mistakes describe the result of things, while failures lead to personal evaluations. When we see mistakes as a proof of our incompetence failure, we avoid mistakes and thus stagnate our self-development. 3 methods of managing mistakes. Now that we know the core of overcoming fixed mindset is changing our perception of mistakes, how can we actually change our view of mistakes? I have summarized 3 methods. The first method is to see mistakes as an opportunity to learn. In the book Principles, it talks about Bridgewater Associates' attitude towards mistakes. The company does not punish employees for making mistakes, but rather encourages them to discuss their mistakes. For this reason, the company even established an error archive to record all the mistakes made by employees for other employees to learn from. When talking about why the company maintains this open attitude towards mistakes, the author of the book said, "Mistakes are inevitable. If we punish mistakes, we are actually encouraging everyone to hide their mistakes. In this way, we lose the opportunity to learn from mistakes, and the company will suffer greater losses." I see this open attitude towards mistakes in many people I admire. It is this open attitude towards mistakes that supports them in achieving their goals. The second method of changing our perception of mistakes is to break the image of not making mistakes. The characteristic of fixed mindset is to fear making mistakes. Fear of making mistakes is actually maintaining the image of not making mistakes. Therefore, if my visitor comes to consult me because of fixed mindset, I will advise them to give up the image of not making mistakes.